We all know the dream, right? That perfect tech job. You know, the one with amazing pay, incredible perks, and the chance to change the world. But what happens when that dream is just, well, a mask, hiding a total nightmare of burnout and toxic culture? Today, we are diving deep into the red flags that are basically screaming at you to walk away, or, you know what, to just run. So let's just kick things off with a number that should honestly stop you in your tracks. 74%. That is the burnout rate in the tech industry. It's the highest of any sector out there. And look, this isn't just about working a few long nights. This is a systemic problem.
So the real question is, how do you find one of those amazing tech jobs without ending up as part of that 74% statistic? Well, that's exactly what we're going to figure out today. We're going to break down all the warning signs, step by step, so you can spot them from a mile away.
All right, let's start at the very beginning, the job posting itself. The funny thing is, you don't even have to talk to a single person to start seeing the clues. The language a company uses in their own job ad can tell you pretty much everything you need to know.
Okay, red flag number one is this weird sense of fake urgency. I mean, when you see a job post that's yelling, urgent, it might sound exciting, right? But what it often means is chaos. It could be that someone just rage quit, or maybe the company is just terrible at planning. And if you see the same job pop up again and again, yeah, that's a revolving door. Oh, and my personal favorite, wear multiple hats. That's usually just code for, we have no idea what this job is, so you'll be doing everything.
And that really gets to the core of those vague, urgent job posts. They're not actually looking for a specialist. They're looking for one person to fill like 3 different holes in a sinking ship, and they're going to pay you a single salary for it. In roles like that, scope creep isn't a possibility. It's practically guaranteed.
All right, so you've navigated the tricky world of job postings, and you landed an interview. Awesome. But this is where you have to put your listening skills to the test. You've got to listen not just to what they're saying, but to what they really mean. Corporate speak can hide some of the biggest red flags of all.
You've heard this one, I'm sure of it. We're like a family here. It's meant to sound so warm, so inviting. But in a professional setting, the whole family thing can be a massive trap. It usually implies a level of loyalty and self-sacrifice that's just, it's not healthy, and it's definitely not professional.
So let's do a little translation of this corporate jargon. When they say we're a family, what they often mean is they expect you to have 0 personal boundaries. Work hard, play hard? That almost always means unpaid overtime, and the play is a ping pong table you'll be way too tired to ever use. And if they're looking for a rock star or a ninja, they're looking for someone to completely burn out trying to do the impossible. And hey, this isn't just a vibe. The data really backs this up. Take a look at this. 58% of IT professionals say they work on weekends. That is more than double the average for all their professions combined. That work hard, play hard culture, it has very real consequences for your actual life. Now, the red flags aren't just in what they say, but in what they do. The interview process itself is a huge tell. I mean, if they reschedule on you 3-4 times, how do you think they handle project deadlines? If your interviewer seems totally unprepared, that's just a blatant lack of respect. And don't even get me started on a massive, unpaid take-home project. That's not a test. That's them trying to get free consulting work. And if you do decide to walk away, you are definitely not alone. A bad interview process is a total deal breaker for a lot of people. In fact, more than half of all job seekers have actually turned down an offer just because of how they were treated during the hiring process. It's a major sign to trust your gut.
So you made it through all the interviews, and bam, an offer is on the table. Congratulations! But don't pop the champagne just yet. The offer letter itself can be a minefield, especially when it comes to the money.
Okay, this next one is a huge one for me. A total lack of transparency around salary. If a company won't talk about compensation until the very end, they are probably wasting your time. It's a power move, right? They're trying to get you emotionally invested before they hit you with a lowball offer. A healthy company knows what a role is worth, and they are not afraid to tell you.
And let's get into equity, that golden carrot for so many of us in tech. Look, standard practice is pretty simple. A 4-year vesting period with a 1-year cliff. That means you get nothing if you leave before a year. But some companies will try to trap you with these 5+ year vesting periods, or even worse, these predatory clawback clauses that could literally force you to pay back equity if you leave. You have got to read the fine print.
Okay, so remember, you don't have to just take the company's word for it. You have the power to do your own research. It's time to put on your detective hat and figure out what the company's real reputation is.
So how can you actually tell if people love working there or if they're all desperately trying to escape? Answering this question is maybe one of the most important things you can do before you even think about accepting an offer.
And honestly, the process is surprisingly simple. First, hop on LinkedIn. Look up people in similar jobs at that company. If they all bail after a year, that is a huge warning sign. Second, go deep on Glassdoor. Ignore the 5-star reviews and focus on the 1- and 2-star ones. Look for patterns. Finally, just do a quick Google search for the company's name, plus the word layoffs. That'll tell you a lot about their stability.
And that instability? It is so real. Over 500,000 tech workers were laid off in just a 2-year period. High turnover isn't just a sign of a bad culture anymore, it's practically a feature of the modern tech industry. You have to be aware of how stable a company is.
And what's really fascinating about this is that it's not always about the company's performance. A professor at Stanford actually calls this phenomenon copycat layoffs. Basically, when one big tech company does it, other companies feel pressure from their investors to do the same. And it creates this massive, unstable domino effect across the whole industry.
So when we use this word toxic, what are we actually talking about? Well, research shows it really boils down to a few key things. Being expected to work when you're off the clock, leadership that is not transparent at all, and just a general lack of basic consideration or courtesy. These are the things that are driving that 74% burnout rate.
Whew, okay. We've covered a lot of red flags. But just spotting the problems is only half the battle. So now, let's talk about your action plan. The concrete things you can actually do to protect yourself.
Let's start with what is easily the most important idea of them all. You are in control here. A job interview is a two-way street. You are interviewing them just as much as they are interviewing you, and you always have the power to just say, you know what, no thank you, and walk away. It all really comes down to being prepared. Think of this as your self-defense checklist for the job market. Do your homework. Ask the tough questions, like, so why did the last person in this role leave? Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Understand every single line of your contract. And maybe most importantly, build yourself a financial safety net. It gives you the freedom and the power to leave a bad situation without feeling desperate.
And that really brings us to the final and most important question of all. A fancy company name on your resume? That's temporary. But the impact that burnout has on your mental and physical health, that can last for years. So in the end, you just have to ask yourself, is the job you're chasing really truly worth sacrificing your own well-being?